This lady was one of the screen's most... She appears on Flashback, where you meet today the people who made yesterday so interesting.
Flashback is presented tonight by
Ford of Canada, on behalf of your Mercury dealer who sells the magnificent Mercuries, Comet, Meteor, Monterey, and Mercury 400.
And now, here is the host of Flashback, Paul Soule.
That was the kindest thing of all. Thank you very much, and welcome to another evening to remember. Memories will be made of tonight, I'm sure. Our panel is set to meet with our guests from the not-so-distant past for Nostalgia Unlimited, and since this is our last flashback of the season, I think we're all interested in making it a memorable one for you. Let's introduce our panel, who are memory conscious tonight. Here is Margaret Morris.
Good evening, Paul.
And next to Margaret, of course, you expect to find Alan Miller, and you won't be disappointed.
Good evening, Paul.
Not that there was any doubt, but when last we said come back and visit us again, world traveler, the gal with one of the greatest wardrobes in Canada, and she's in beige chiffon tonight, we honor the opportunity to welcome you back, Maxine Samuels.
Thank you very much, Paul. Nice to be back.
For the ladies across the country, Maxine, can I ask you what you consider to be a basic wardrobe, quickly?
Oh, my goodness. Well, that depends entirely on the way of life. You couldn't really answer that. What a housewife would require and what a career woman requires would be entirely different, Paul.
See, there is a difference between us all. Okay. Now here is our anchor man. We'll call him that for the last time this season, Alan Mannings. Right. If we're all set and we all know who each other is or are, we'll get set to look at a clue to Flashback's first guest celebrity. And behind the doors, it will be found. This is a great large reel of film and a sign pointing to Rio. If you'll look that one over, panel, our guest, and Lloyd will tell you who Flashback's first celebrity tonight is.
Flashback to the career of one of America's best-known leading men.
I began my life as an actor at the advanced age of 5 years. I made my debut as a young juvenile on the Broadway stage during the 20s, and since then I've appeared in all the various entertainment mediums, excepting, of course, burlesque and the circus. My career in Hollywood included starring roles opposite such leading ladies as Loretta Young, Lucille Ball, Ann Sothern, Carole Lombard, and my wife, Jeanette MacDonald. Altogether, I've appeared in over 50 movies, including the one you are now watching, called Sadie McKee, with Joan Crawford. During the 50s, I returned to the legitimate theater, and I've also been appearing extensively on television. My name is Gene Raymond.
Yes, there's much discussion over across the way here. The panel are sorting themselves out, getting set for their 30 seconds worth of questions. Our guest is ready. Margaret Morris, you're on.
Well, now, I must say, first of all, there has been a discussion up and down the line. So the first thing is there any connection with the film Flying Down to Rio?
Yes, quite a good connection, a high connection.
Ooh, hi. Well, now, we had Ginger Rogers, Fred Astaire, Cesar Romero.
I'm not Ginger Rogers.
Are you Fred Astaire?
No,
Are you Cesar Romero?
You know, I don't think you're staying up late enough nights.
That's how she manages to look so youthful and pleasant. That's how, by not staying up at nights. All right, Alan Miller, how late do you stay up?
Do you host the Late Late Show?
No, but you can frequently see me there.
You were in the motion picture Flying Down to Rio.
Now that's right.
You were. Oh, my. May we have a conference? Because
yes, you may.
It's a question
I'm not
of...
Dolores Del Rio, either.
Oh, I thought it was. Well, that ruined Alan's too.
All right, we'll stop time here and let you have a small conference.
I must say, I must have made a great impression.
You did. Really. Please, don't be insulted.
Don't go away.
No, don't go away.
Don't go away.
They don't carry these little crib sheets in their pockets, you know.
Do we have
for
time
the,
back in again?
The lists. Yes, time is back in again.
Did you play a comic part in the picture?
No, I'm not Joe Penner either.
Maxine?
Well, you say that we would see you on in the late evening. Does that mean in late films, or is there a show on the late show that we should know you by?
I think late films mostly.
Late film.
Many of them. That's why there's so much film there. And that clue.
Do
You don't
play
look like you've been staying up late either.
Do you play particular character roles in these films? Would we know you as a particular character?
Well, I guess I'm more of a character off stage than on.
Gee, Alan, I hope you get this one.
Gee, I bet I don't. Did you play the guy that never got the girl?
Well, I got quite a few girls.
And you played romantic leads?
Yes.
Were you part of the same group that appeared in... Who?
Whisper first there, Margaret.
Don Amici?
I think I better go back to the States where I belong.
Did you ever get Don Amici in the movie?
Time is just
Nobody ever
about
got
up.
Don
Our
Amici
guest
in the
is a
movie.
wonderful sport and certainly one of the great leading men of Hollywood, Mr. Gene Raymond.
You know my trouble?
They're all too young. Alan just had a qualm of conscience there, Mr. Mannings.
No,
You
I
just
had
said
made
that
a
you had
bet
worked-
earlier that I wouldn't get it, but Mr. Raymond and I worked together on the Imogene Coca show for a whole stretch of shows that I wrote that you appeared on.
I remember we did.
Little musical comedies that disappeared into the night.
It just goes to show you there's nothing cooked about this here program. Mr. Raymond, sit tight and we'll get together a friendly conversation after this word with our sponsor. Well, we're all friends together now, having well met and truly with Gene Raymond. Al Miller, if you're ready for the first word.
Tell me, Mr. Amici. I think you were very good to put up with us for so long. I understand that you were a colonel in the Air Force Reserve, which is something I wasn't aware of.
Yes, I am a colonel in the Air Force Reserve. I stick with it. I have since World War II. I have a Mobilization Day assignment with Strategic Air Command.
Are there many people within the business who are in similar positions to your own?
No, there are very few. That is in my particular branch of the entertainment world. There are quite a few technicians that stick with the reserve, but very few actors have stuck with it.
Does this involve very much of your time?
Yes, I fly 100 hours a year with them, and I serve 24 days in inactive duty, and as well as a 2-week period during summer.
In the event of, in the event of something unpleasant happening, what would be your position then?
I'm on emergency orders. All I need is to hear on the radio that there has been a national emergency declared, and I report.
Well, on to happier things then. Maxine?
Well, I feel very embarrassed because as a woman, you were one of my very favorite leading men, and Mr. Amici was.
As a woman, you were one of my favorite leading men. I didn't understand that.
Well, you. Before we flash back, what are your current activities, Mr. Raymond?
Well, I just finished doing a Defenders, which was on a couple of Saturdays ago. And then I just finished, before I came back here, doing a television hour show, which will be new in the fall on ABC, to mention another network, called The Outer Limits. It's a science fiction. We're going in for that next year to see whether that will remedy matters.
Do you like working in the medium of television?
Yes, it's pretty closely akin to motion pictures, except everything is the same, except it's faster.
I have a note here, Mr. Raymond, that you compose music.
Yes.
Have you ever composed anything for the wonderful voice that your wife has?
Yes, I wrote a couple of songs for her, which were published. I also wrote a popular song, which was published. I wouldn't say that I could live on the proceeds from any of them. As a matter of fact, the song that was published by Irving Berlin was published. My first check came in for $500. And about 6 or 8 months later, I had another statement saying, "We overpaid you by $400.
at that moment, I thought I'd better go back to acting again.
Talking of acting, you have worked with your wife.
Yes, we
How
did
many
one.
times?
We did one picture together called Smiling Through, and we also did a stage version of The Guardsman, which was revamped to make the actress a singer instead of the actress. And, of course, we've done radio, and I don't think we've ever done any television together. That's about it.
Margaret.
Looking back into the past, flashing back, which of the many parts you did gave you the most pleasure and the most fun, do you think?
Well, this scene that you saw tonight was...
No, we didn't see it.
Oh, that that you saw, or that you on the out in the audience saw, was a show that I did with Joan Crawford, which I didn't want to do, and I finally did it. And it turns out that that's the picture that everybody seems to remember, which is a normal thing. The one I enjoyed doing most was a picture that Jesse Lasky made years ago. Loretta Young and I did it together, called Zoo in Budapest. It was a great artistic success, but not a great commercial success.
Is that always the case, that an actor or actress's favorite picture is never perhaps as accepted by the public as they'd like it to be?
I think many times it's that way. A great many actors and actresses do not seem to be gifted with this little intangible something that makes you right to select your own roles. Unfortunately.
Well, I know many of all of our viewers will be up late at night and all through the night to watch your present and previous acting activities. Mr. Gene Raymond, and thank you for your visit.
I know a man who says he watches himself on late TV, and he can tell how far back it was by the amount of hair he has left.
You're well endowed. Thank you very much.
Fine gentlemen whom we'll enjoy watching in these new and past roles, of course. Gene Raymond was sort of invited here to be with us by Mr. K.P. Gash, 160 McLennan Street in Peterborough, Ontario, who will receive $50 for that suggestion, of course. Now, we hope that you'll keep your suggestions coming through the summer, because when we come back, we'll want to know who you want to see with us on the program and the flashback objects and fads and fashions you'll want to remember with us. So won't you send us your cards and letters through the season to Flashback, CBC, Box 500, Toronto, Ontario. We'll be looking for your letters, $25 if we use them, $50 if your suggestion stumps the panel, of course. All right, another Flashback celebrity coming up, panel. If you're ready, here's the clue. At least the clue was, there it is, fully revealed. That's a bridge going to a well-known place. I think you can look at that very closely. And while you do, our guest and Lloyd identify themselves.
Flashback to the singing and acting career of one of Hollywood's best-known musical comedy stars.
I began my career on the New York stage, and after appearing in a number of musicals, was invited to Hollywood by the famous director Ernst Lubitsch. Some of my early films included The Love Parade, 1 Hour with You, The Merry Widow with Maurice Chevalier, and then with Jack Buchanan in Monte Carlo. After touring in Europe and in concert in Great Britain, I returned to Hollywood and starred in Naughty Marietta, which introduced Nelson Eddy. After that, I made Rosemary with him, and in San Francisco with Clark Gable and Spencer Tracy, Firefly with Alan Jones, and then again with Nelson in Sweethearts, Bittersweet, Girl of the Golden West, New Moon, and then Smiling Through with Gene Raymond, and then Maytime with Nelson again. That's the film you're now watching. My name is Jeanette MacDonald.
There hasn't been too much of a buzz among our panel. Let's see how they do as they open up their mouths and ask some questions. If our guest is ready, are you, Alan Miller?
Yes, I am. Once again, we have had a conference, and I'm elected chairman of the board. Is this bridge in San Francisco?
Mm-hmm.
There was a movie with a song in it called San Francisco. Did you ever sing this song?
Yes,
Are you Mrs. Raymond?
I am.
Jeanette MacDonald?
Jeanette MacDonald. I will. Please be seated. I promised that I would. We'll spare no time in getting to a word from our sponsor, then back to chat with Jeanette MacDonald. We're very proud and delighted to have you, Jeanette MacDonald, to be with us on Flashback.
Thank you.
On behalf of our viewers and our panel, who all want to have some questions with
Thank you.
Maxine.
Miss MacDonald, I can't think of any other personality. When you think of a city, the name and the personality become synonymous as we think of you in San Francisco and that wonderful, wonderful song that you sang. What are your interests today?
Well, I have a lot of interest today. I've been doing a lot of speaking at ladies' luncheons, which is something I'm not used to doing, but I find it's fun now. And also, I have been getting ready to move. Actually, Dean and I have sold our house. We've taken 2 big apartments in the same area. And that is in itself a big job when you've lived in one house for 26 years. Mm-hmm. So we've got a lot of things accumulated, and I'm delegated to do the packing. So I think that's going to keep me busy for the next few months. It's already kept me busy for the last 3 months. And then I have a couple of projects afoot. It's always kind of embarrassing to say I can't talk about them, but I can't. Except that my autobiography now I think it's finally going to come out. So I can't tell you the publisher yet, though.
What subjects have you been talking to the ladies about at luncheon?
Well, primarily the old pictures and the new pictures and the comparisons. And then, of course, the things that ladies do when they're not active as career women anymore, which now I'm not actually, you see, since I haven't made a picture lately, and I have stopped concertizing, and I've done some few television shows, mainly guest appearances like this one, for example. They always terrify me, I might add, because I always feel I'm not quite ready, not ready to go on, when suddenly you're on, and that's it. But that's been primarily what I had been doing these last couple of years.
Helen.
Miss MacDonald, I have a note here that says that at one time, the press reported that you had been shot in Europe. That doesn't sound funny.
Well,
how did this happen to start?
It wasn't a bit funny to me at the time because it was right after I had done Monte Carlo with Jack Buchanan. And that picture was made on the Paramount lot. But the rumor was, of course, that it was done in Monte Carlo, and Prince Umberto of Italy fell madly in love with me. And we had a liaison, maybe a couple. And the Marie Jose, who's his wife of Belgium, shot me on one occasion. And another occasion, she threw acid in my face. And then I made several pictures later that didn't have quite so much singing. And so it was then rumored that I was not doing the singing. In fact, it was my sister who was substituting for me. And of course, this is all nonsense. That's why I came over to England and France. I wasn't allowed in Italy or Belgium until this rumor was cleared up, and I was finally identified as myself and not my sister. And I was not shot, see? So that's the silly rumor that I had to live down.
I hope when you get home, Miss MacDonald, that your husband's speaking to you, seeing that we got you so quickly and didn't manage to get him. We all remember so very well, of course, the wonderful series which you and Nelson Eddy made together. And I wonder if you'd tell me whose idea it was to team the two of you. How did this come about?
Putting the two of us together?
Yes.
Well, that was an accident, really, because I had made 4 pictures with Maurice Chevalier, you see. And then I had been at Metro. I had done 3 pictures there. The Merry Widow was the last one I had done with Maurice. And then I was about to leave the studio because they had bought I Married an Angel at the time. And of course, it became highly censorable. In those days, it would be a bit of a joke, but it was quite censorable at that time. And so they got out a few of these old operettas and let me read the scripts. And finally, I guess Naughty Marietta was given to me as a pacifier. And I read it, liked it, loved the music, of course. And I said, yes, I would do that. So then they said, well, who have we put opposite you? And I said, well, I don't know who we got. And so they ran a couple of old tests they had made, and Nelson was among those tests. I said, well, this fellow has a beautiful voice. He's quite handsome. Suppose we meet. So we met. I thought he looked awfully good, and they put him in the picture. And it was one of those, what they call, I think, a sleeper. It turned out to be a great, big, beautiful surprise to everybody, including myself. And so from there on in, they decided that we were going to be teamed together, and there you had the saga.
Miss MacDonald, as an actress and as a singer, you've collected a great many fans through your motion pictures. You have collected a great many fans through your motion pictures, but you're also a collector of fans of a different sort, are you not?
Yes. Well, that started years ago. The first time Mother and I went to Paris, and we met Jenny Dolly of the famous Dolly Sisters, you remember? And we went to visit Jenny down at her place at Fontainebleau. And she had a fabulous collection of Napoleonic treasures. I think something like $2 or $3 million. Fabulous collection. And in looking around, I simply said, among other things, "Oh, there, isn't that a magnificent fan?" And she said, "Oh, you like it?" I said, "Oh, I think it's beautiful." So she said, "You may have it." So I took it, and of course I had it appraised when I got back to the States, and they appraised it for $15,000. So it was rather a nice gift, I thought. So that really started me on my collection of fans, because then I was challenged to find some others. I have one of the last Tsarina of Russia. I have one of the Queen of Austria, Maria Theresa. I have one that belonged to Lillian Russell, one that belonged to Jenny Lind, and a teeny-weeny little bit that Colleen Moore gave me from her famous dollhouse, you know. It's to scale. It's the dearest little gold thing. I have that in a little case.
Do you ever carry them with you or use them?
No, I have them mounted in a great big case with glass front, you know, to preserve them. And I have 2 or 3 others that I can't recall offhand who they belong to. But it's quite a nice collection.
Miss MacDonald, the pictures which you made with Nelson Eddy have recently been shown here, and they've attracted extremely large audiences. Yeah. Why do you think that there's been this great interest in that type of film?
Well, I think for lots of people, they bring back very pleasant memories, nostalgia maybe. And then I do think, too, that they are happy pictures. They're not dated, for one thing, you know, they were costume pictures. So that's an advantage, certainly, to us. The music will never die. It's beautiful, wonderful, wonderful music, barring the singing, the voice, the music itself. And then, too, we have, I think we have the advantage, too, of coming at a time when I'm afraid the world is pretty well fed up with the things that are going on around us. Everything is so downbeat, so unhappy, so frustrated. And I must confess that when I go to the movies, most of them today leave me wishing I hadn't gone. And this is no reflection on the actors or actresses. It's just the kind of pictures they're making. And I must say that these pictures we made were happy pictures. You leave the theater, you left the theater, and you still leave the theater feeling pleased and happy with the world. And you think, well, there's a little thing called love and romance after all.
Miss MacDonald, you will have left this country with exactly the same feeling as you have left it innumerable times in your pictures. You are really a breath of fine perfume down to these last few years, and we're most proud to have had you with us on Flashback with your husband tonight. Thank you so much.
Nice to be here.
The next section. And back to say goodnight after this word from our alternate sponsor.